So like you guys, this is the S to the Pencer to the HNB, the Great Big Picture Show. You know who this is. And like it's really good to see you, and I'm like really glad to be talking to you about this, but I'd like to like talk about something first. So like with this movie I'm going to be talking about today, I was thinking about it and it just seems like on the internet a lot where I post these videos, like people are like fighting a lot. I don't know, like I just felt like I should bring it up. It's just right in everybody's faces. I just don't feel like it's okay for all of us to be like fighting, you know? And it's like everybody has their opinions and stuff. Like I get it. But yeah, it's just like really hard going through every day thinking about how everybody's fighting over two superheroes fighting. I just really don't know how people talk like that all the time. I don't know. Hello out there, beautiful people, beautiful men, beautiful women. I'm Spencer Howard Belden, and this is the Great Big Picture Show, my outlet to talk to you as always about the things I love and the things I don't in the movies I see. Now I know I'm a little late to this one, but honestly I wanted to kind of let the dust settle. Everybody just calm down, everybody breathe a little bit, okay? Everybody breathe. Yeah, I thought I'd just sit on it, think about it for a while, but today I'm finally going to discuss the long-awaited, highly hyped Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. Now, unless you are a ghost, unless you are not a human person who cannot mentally acknowledge normal things, Batman vs. Superman is Zack Snyder's highly publicized and anticipated lead up to DC's Justice League movies. And boy, he's been teasing this for a long time. I think 2 years ahead was the first time we saw that small footage of Batman in the iron suit. So it's safe to say people have had a lot of expectations building up to this for a long time. There's been lots of talk about what it's supposed to be, lots of talk about what it will promise us. But the bottom line is that it is here. We have seen it. It is available to us now. And what does that really mean for us? I'm going to give you guys the chance right now to step out of the room, leave the video on, infinite loop, for like the views and stuff. But considering all of the extremely polarizing views about the movie and how polarizing the movie is in and of itself, I'm going to tell you right now, I had a great time. Now, first of all, I say this as not a Zack Snyder apologist. I'm not a huge fan of his. Majority of the movies I've seen that he has created have had no depth, no human emotion, no real feeling there. As far as a visual stylist, as far as an action set piece Imagineer, I think that he's very well versed. I think he would be much more well suited to being chief visual coordinator or maybe even a DP. But when it comes to the real grit and humanity of the characters in his films, there's a lot to be desired. But truthfully, with Batman vs. Superman, I feel like his tendencies versus the things that are being discussed in the movie have met a very nice happy medium. As far as his movies, I feel like the most successful one in my eyes is 300 because of the qualities that that movie brings and his tendencies as well. They meet at the middle because very clearly this is a guy who likes to see big brawny dudes beating up big brawny dudes. 300 is entirely surrounded by that. So that's why it works. And honestly, I think one of the main reasons I enjoyed this is because it meets at that same intersection. A huge problem I had with Man of Steel is that there was nothing going for it. I had no interest in anything that was going on because he did not know how to handle those characters. Now that we're in a situation where we're dealing with these mammoth ideas about what it's supposed to mean to be a hero, what their legacies may hold. It's all about the braggadocio of manhood, essentially. I've heard a few complaints here and there about the whole movie just basically being a pissing contest between Batman and Superman, when in reality, these are self-appointed superheroes. Of course they're narcissistic. They believe that they are right and everybody else is wrong. They know the right way to do things. That's why they're in the positions that they're in. I actually enjoyed the use of the entire universe where the initial conflict brought about between Batman and Superman is the actions of Superman and Batman's reactions to them. I enjoyed the fact that a lot of this movie was Bruce Wayne dealing with the fact that this completely unknown being is destroying cities around him and not seeming like he has any sort of feeling towards that. And also, I think another important thing from my viewing experience as well is that if you can't tell, I am a really big Batman fan. I've been a fan of Batman since I was a little kid, and also, to go along with that, I really don't like Superman. I think his character lacks complete enjoyability because there's nothing enjoyable about watching a guy who can do literally everything have somebody try and fight him. There's no tension there. So to me, one of the most enjoyable and interesting ideas is to have Batman, an extremely smart man with no further capabilities, take on a god. So a huge plus for me, I must say, is that we get to watch them fight, and I get to watch Batman beat the out of Superman. People who are saying this movie isn't fun, I can understand if you're a huge Superman fan. It's probably not. In large part because, again, Zack Snyder's dealing with Superman in this movie. He's not an extremely engaging character. And when it comes to the action sequences, he, I would argue, is the lesser of the bunch. So on that note, I'd like to talk about the cast. First off, we have Superman himself, Henry Cavill. I don't necessarily think there's anything outstanding about him. There are some small sparks of grit and power that come off of his performance, but majority of the time, there's not a lot that he does with the character, and that may be due to the way his character was dealt with in the script. But otherwise, just in general, with his alter ego Clark Kent and playing Superman, he doesn't do a lot with it. He's perfectly fine. Now, obviously, one of the biggest controversies over this movie was the casting of Mr. Ben Affleck as Batman. And I'll be honest, when I heard that that casting was official, was not entirely thrilled. Not because of the whole Daredevil thing, not because of this or that. I think he's a perfectly fine actor. I just could not see him in the role. Now, having seen the movie, I have been pleasantly beaten. I enjoyed him a lot. I thought he made a really nice Bruce Wayne, and I thought he dealt with the Batman aspects really, really well. And over the years, through different series, graphic novels, comics, and all that, I've seen so many different kinds of iterations of Batman. I really enjoyed the take that they actually took in this movie, where he's extremely aggressive, extremely determined, and frustrated with what's going on. So we get to see a very gritty, brutal Batman. Next, we have Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, who does a really, really nice job, especially considering the small amount of time screen that she has. I do always think it's great to see actors or actresses who are fairly unknown. I haven't seen her in much, but I love seeing these kinds of people come out, get really, really big exposure, not having been seen before, and then do a really nice job to back it up. So it's nice to see a new face, and I'm interested to see where she goes with the Wonder Woman role. Rounding out the rest of the cast could take upwards of 18 years, because there's everyone. But one of the more controversial roles, I think, for a lot of people is probably Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I love the whole idea around it. I loved the young, neurotic, very, very twitchy, kind of crazy Lex Luthor that they went with, and Jesse Eisenberg was perfect for that kind of role. And I loved how charismatic and confident that he was throughout the whole movie, getting crazier and crazier and his little tics here and there. I really enjoyed that. Lawrence Fishburne is probably the closest you're going to get to comic relief throughout the movie, with newspaper zingers coming left and right, like, ah, you think that's going to make the front page? Ha! And I think honorable mention should go to Jeremy Irons for bringing out a very, very nice Alfred Pennyworth. And also, really, really quickly, let's keep getting Scoot McNairy into big movies. He's such a good talent. He's really, really good, really interesting, and I love seeing him in such a big movie like this. So let's keep it going, okay? A big part of the rest of the cast was supposed to hint and tease at the Justice League movies, with Aquaman, played by Jason Momoa, The Flash, played by Ezra Miller, and Cyborg, played by Ray Fisher. And with those three, honestly, this is the last thing I kind of wanted to touch on, that I think that their inclusion was not heavy-handed. It was done in a very quick and interesting way, which leads into my other positive feelings for the movie, which is with this 2-year build-up, this long build-up, trailers on top of trailers, on top of posters, on top of teases, on top of behind-the-scenes things, for so long, it was leading me to believe that this movie was going to become the most convoluted mess of all time. It's very, very obvious DC is trying to catch up with Marvel, and Marvel has done really well doing its homework and taking its time. But as far as developing the DC universe with these extra characters, and this movie has a lot of characters, don't get me wrong, has a lot of characters. But I felt like the inclusion of the Justice League characters, or the lead into the Justice League part of this universe, was actually dealt with nicely, and it didn't overbear the rest of this movie. It just dipped its toes into the water and just said, hey, we're coming, just get ready. But I was expecting it to overhaul the entire thing, while also dealing with Doomsday and Lex Luthor and Batman vs. Superman fighting and blah, 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 blah. So outside of that, what we're left with is a behemoth of a movie. It's quite long, but a pretty hefty build-up. They don't take a huge amount of time to do an entire Batman reboot of a movie, which I appreciated. But they take the time to develop the Batman persona, if you're not entirely familiar with him, lead him into his character, and set up the entire second half of the movie, which is essentially one long fight that turns into a second really long fight. People who have a real rough time or do not enjoy CGI heavy things are gonna be frustrated. I would argue the last half hour is a CGI massacre. From the beginning of the Batman fight on, though, I had a good time. I thought it was fun. At this point, CGI is where we are, so I think I've maybe settled my fights with that. And it genuinely got me excited to see those three heroes all together at the same time, trying to take down this big, imposing force. It is certainly loud, it is certainly flashy, but I had a fun time. I don't see why everybody's been scrambling to say that it needs to be more fun or it needs more jokes. From the get-go, they have entirely fixated on the fact that DC is going to remain mature and dark. And I feel like they held their promise with that. I don't feel like going into this, I got anything different than what they were telling me, other than the fact that it was not as convoluted as it seemed to be. So with all that being said, sat through a 2.5 hour movie and I did not feel like it was that long. Really enjoyed watching Batman beat up Superman. So truthfully, because I like to view this whole great big picture show and everything I do with this purely as recommendations, I'm not saying anything is fact or concrete. This is purely my experience. I'm gonna say it's a solid yes for me. I think it's a good time. I don't think that you should build it up, and I think you should just watch it for what it is. I thought it walked the line between making these guys dark, menacing, and adult people, and the fact that they are wearing suits and running around fighting monsters. I thought it rode that line very well. Okay, whew, shake it off. We got it out, okay? It's done. It's been said my piece. I can't wait to hear what everybody else has to say about their piece. This is the Great Big Picture Show. I am Spencer Howard Belden. Please like, share, and subscribe to everything you see with this face. Please comment and let me know what you love and what you hate about the movies that you're seeing, and also what else is out there. What else can I see? What are you seeing that I haven't seen with these little peepers? Please have a good day. Please have a good night. And please go hug somebody who is sorely victimized by their viewing of Batman vs. Superman. I know a lot of people are having a really rough time over a movie about two superheroes fighting each other. So please, go hug them. They need you.
Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.